Hello, a very warm welcome back to a humble Highland home. I hope you're all well and thriving in your season. For some of our friends here on the channel, they are going into spring mode, whilst we are in autumn heading into winter mode. It has been a busy time as we continue to prepare everything at the croft and ourselves for the seasonal changes, of which can also help towards springtime coming and the year ahead. It also helps us to protect and make the most of everything that we have. This time last year I made a video called 5 Natural Resources to Build Soil in the Year Ahead. I will leave a link to that in the description below. So some of what I'm doing just now is a seasonal routine that has developed as it works for me. I've been using some of the leaves that I chopped up last year in the garden beds and in the compost, but I need a plentiful supply, so it's time to collect, chop and store the fallen leaves again to repeat the process this year and continually build and protect the garden soil. The rhubarb is all covered over now with a mulch made up of old leaves, manure and compost, and given that rhubarb are very heavy feeders, it likes lots of manure. The plum and apple trees that are in pots and in the ground have had some fresh compost and have a winter protection of mulch over the soil. I've been adding mulch to the rhubarb, to the fruit bushes and trees, as I like to think of mulching as giving back and saying a big thank you to all the effort that they have given into producing the fruits of their labour throughout the year. Blueberries are still waiting patiently for their weed and mulch using an ericaceous based mulch mix. I just haven't had time, but I will do that this next week. So that's most of the perennial plants that have been mulch ready for winter. But before I get back onto chopping up the leaves, I need to make space for them to sit until I need them. Given they could be sitting here for up to 12 months, it's time to clear and tidy this wee corner of the garden where all the organic materials go in and a nutritious compost and mulch comes out. It's not so long ago that this was all covered in greenery that I pulled back from the summer garden. But it soon disappeared as I've worked on making my lasagna compost and keeping the compost systems working. This saves me more and more money each year, so preparing this area, it really is worth the time and effort. All these bags have got various organic matters at different stages of decomposing, so I'm putting everything back in order so that I know what to use first. And whilst I'm clearing everything, I may as well scoop up all the old wood chip floor cover and replace it with some fresh wood chip, and then I can use the broken down wood chip in the garden. I'm also bagging up the old manure and leaf mulch that sit in these cones over the year before I collect and process some more ready for next year. Now, you may have seen me doing this in previous videos, but this is a good little system that works well for me. It saves me money and it continues to protect and build the soil in our garden.
train just left this town. While I'm slowly heading back to my apartment, I'm not asking for your thoughts. I'm just thinking out loud in the darkness. There's no point, 'cause we both know. From here there's nowhere to go. Someone said your heart is golden. All I got was my heart broken. I can see the dawn is coming just for you, for you, for you. Times will come.
Now I have a fresh new layer of wood chip down on the ground. The cones are emptied, the contents bagged up, all ready to be refilled again. It's time to drain and put away the water butt that I make my manure tea feed in. Temperatures can get pretty cold here, so any water that could be left would freeze and could damage the water butt. This was the same for the clay spikes that I showed in the polytunnel. I want everything to last as long as it can, so I look after these things as much as I can. The last of the manure tea and the contents of the water butt are emptied in and around the rhubarb before I lay the container down at the side of the polytunnel until I need it again next year. Next, I'm preparing the growing beds for the colder months ahead. I'm weeding them and then covering them with a layer of compost. Some of it's homemade compost and some shop bought, as I'm not completely self-sufficient in compost yet, but one day, hopefully, I will be. I'm still harvesting food from the garden, so I'm working around them until the beds are clear. If a bed is not in use, then I try to cover them over and allow them to rest. I don't plant anything next to the polytunnel to grow on over winter time, as the snow just flattens them all when it slides off the top of the polytunnel. So I'm just covering the beds to protect the soil and to prevent the early weeds in springtime. Next, I'm taking any perennial plants that could be frost sensitive into the greenhouse to overwinter them. Some I will put some fleece over the top as well, and this just gives them a bit of added protection, ready for the springtime growing again next year. Now, I've mentioned in previous videos that we don't have an automatic irrigation system. I like to use rainwater that we store in water butts, but sometimes I do make use of the hose pipe when I need to. But it always goes away for winter time, and the outside tap is switched off and drained to avoid any frozen or burst pipes. As we're getting towards the end of the day, I want to start chopping up these leaves, and I'll finish the rest tomorrow. What a difference it makes by chopping up the leaves into small pieces, especially when they go into the compost. It really doesn't take them long to decompose back down, ready to be put back into the soil. Now that the leaf chopping is finished, this afternoon I'm going to take the wheelbarrow to collect some more garden gold manure, but first a wee lunch break. So thank you for joining me, making the most of this lovely weather and preparing the garden for the colder months ahead. So until next time, take care of yourself and others, and I'll see you in the next video.